Hey, what's good, beautiful people? Welcome to my channel. My name is Shella, or you can call me your loyal bestie. And I'm an admitted attorney of the High Court of South Africa who, once upon a time, thought that admission was the only thing that I could do with my LLB degree. And boy, oh boy, was I wrong. And I have started this series, Non-Traditional Legal Careers, in order to showcase the fact that admission is not the only way to go. And in this episode, we have Sipesihle, who is a compliance and legal officer, and she shares her incredible journey as to how she landed where she did. I love how she says that compliance found her and she didn't go out looking for it. So her story is very interesting. And one thing that I took from this episode is how she's not admitted, but when they advertised the vacancy that she has filled, they wanted somebody who is admitted. So she shares a whole lot of information about just being resilient and having the guts to do that. So she drops a whole lot of gems in this episode. You don't want to miss it. Please like this video and drop down to the comment section if you have a question or a comment for me or Sipesihle, and we will get back to you. And most importantly, please share this with somebody who you know could use this information. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it. Sipesihle, thank you so much for joining me on my channel. I am so excited for this conversation because having a young Black female who has done so much with their career and their LLB is so inspiring, not only to me, but to the many who are watching. Firstly, introduce yourself and also state what it is that you do.
Okay, thank you so much, Shella. I'm really excited to be here with you today. I think I can speak for myself. When I was getting out of LLB, there was so much to do, but I didn't know that. My name is Sipesihle, as you said. I am currently a legal and compliance officer at Polyco. I have been in the industry for about 3 years now. But my journey has been it's been different. It's been different. I definitely can say so. So yeah, that's basically what I do and who I am right now.
Yeah. Okay, so when you wake up and you go to work in the morning as a legal and compliance officer, just take us through your day a little bit. Like, what is it exactly that you do? If somebody were to ask you, what does a legal and compliance officer do? What would you say?
Honestly, I would say a legal compliance officer is someone that solves problems. You basically are a person that the company leans on for direction. The company leans on to fix their misses, and you become so enthralled in so many different things continuously that you just have to be adaptable. Okay. My day typically looks like meetings. It looks like research. It looks like reading. It looks like interacting with different stakeholders within the company in order for me to assist where I can. It looks like contracts. It looks like drafting. It's so much. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So I want you to take us through your LLB journey. Like, there's a lot that you mentioned. You talk about contracts, meetings with stakeholders. When the company is basically in trouble, you are the person who has to sort everything out, right? So all these things, I don't think that many of us associate them with our LLB degree. So I want you to just take us through your LLB degree, and in your journey, how did you discover compliance? Did you know about this while you were studying? Were you like so focused to say that it's compliance or nothing, or like how did you even get to the space?
That's a very interesting question because when I initially started studying my LLB, my thought process was candidate attorney, getting admitted, that's it. There is no deviation.
Yeah.
That's what my life would look like. So I started
Like
my
many of
LLB.
us.
Literally, like many of us, a lot of people come up to me and tell me that they've been exposed to is that path. Um, so when I started studying my LLB, my mind was, okay, I'll be in criminal law. That's it. Like I'll go into that field. That's what that looks like. And I saw Annalise Keating as being who I wanted to be, right? From How to Get Away with Murder. Cliche, I know.
Yes.
But once I started my LLB journey, that was my path. And then my mentor, her name is Belinda Mapongwana. She kind of got me involved in the commercial side of things. She has a boutique firm, and I would often do work there for short periods of time. And she asked me one day, why don't I do my master's in commercial law? That was my final year. And I looked at her, I'm like, what do you mean, do my master's in commercial law? That was never my plan. I'm going to be a candidate attorney after this degree, and that's all I'm going to do. And I later found myself applying for my master's in commercial law at UCT. I had no idea what my path would be after that, but I just knew that I had to go there. Compliance was something that I've never been exposed to. It's something that I didn't see as a path for me. I didn't even think that it would be something that I'd get into ever. But once I started getting into
Mm.
my master's, I got exposure as to the different types of things that you can do with your degree. I fell in love with corporate governance. I fell in love with advanced company law, and I knew that I want to exist within that space. I just didn't know how. And then I got the opportunity to work for Deutsche Insurance, and Deutsche Insurance kind of gave me direction as to where my niche would be, where I belonged. And that's how I discovered compliance. And I ended up here where I'm at Polyco now, and I'm a legal and compliance officer. And I'm not saying I know everything, but I definitely know that that is the part that I didn't know that I was being pushed towards, but ended up in. And I enjoy my job very
Mm.
much. So I hope
Mm.
I kind of gave you a, a bit of a view of my world and how that took place.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you
Yeah.
absolutely did. And I love the fact that you touched on mentorship. I stress this all the time. I'm like, get somebody who's ahead of you to let you know things that you don't know. And by somebody letting you know that, do your LLM in commercial and, you did that and look where it has gotten you now, so I advocate for having a mentor all the time. So if you are watching this and you don't have a mentor yet, please find somebody who has gone ahead of you to ask questions and also just benefit from their wealth of knowledge. Like literally having a mentor
Yeah.
is like having a cheat code, right?
I
Yeah.
totally agree with you because when you are studying law, you literally don't know what you're doing, right? You don't know what you're doing. You need someone who's ahead of you that can be like, listen, I've been here, I've done this. This could be a direction that you'd look into, and you can look into that. I am so grateful for my mentor and who she was in my life at the time, because I don't think I would have been here. I would have taken the journey that I've taken if she didn't push me and make me believe in myself that I can actually get a master's.
Mm.
Because what do you
Mm.
mean?
No,
Why am I?
absolutely. No, that is spot on. Mm. No, that's
Yeah.
spot on. Absolutely. Mentorship, highlight that, And even after you've gotten your dream role or you're in spaces that you didn't even think you would be in, you still need somebody who is ahead of you to just, show you the path and be like, do this rather than that, because they've walked the path. So, yeah, very important to have mentorship. So, let's talk about entering into this space. So, you say that you fell in love with certain modules when you were in university, and that sort of guided you into finding your niche as to where you wanted to take this. So for somebody who, for example, has, let's say, their LLB degree, and they sort of want to get into these types of spaces, like, where do you start looking? Like,
Yeah.
how, how do you actually start? Like, I've got my LLB degree, then what?
Okay. So I'm not going to speak about the master's journey because not everyone has the privilege to further their
Yeah,
education
yeah, yeah,
to that
of
extent.
course.
But what I can say is that the biggest thing that I can always advise people is that you need to always be willing to learn and upskill yourself. So there are a number of courses, short-term courses that you can finish in a matter of weeks. You can also volunteer. You can also just put yourself in rooms where you have the opportunity to talk to people that have come before you. That's where the mentorship part of it comes in. But also you should look for the for the internships as well. There's so many compliance internships that are available now, right? Where you can get the opportunity to intern in that space, get the necessary knowledge to equip yourself. I'd also advise being a member of KISA, the Compliance Institute of Southern Africa. They have a package for students, and you can also get well acquainted with some of their workshops as well. So that's some of the ways in which you can get into that space. But I can't say that my journey is going to work for everyone because literally this found me. I didn't go out searching, it found me.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that it did, but that's some of the ways in which you can get into the space. It's always having a willingness
Mm.
and wanting to learn and to grow and gain the knowledge. A short course is not a waste of time. A short course is not a waste of time. It definitely equips you with certain knowledge and certain terminologies to excel in the space. So yeah.
Mm. Mm, that's very true because I didn't even know about Kisa, So for those
Mm,
of you who are interested in this, check out Kisa. And also, I think hopping onto LinkedIn and, following people in such
yeah.
spaces because when they speak about like events happening or maybe like, events for students, then you can just go there and, see what people in compliance are talking about, what's available, when are things closing. So, yeah, thank you for that. So I want to talk about something that's a little spicy, and that is the entry level salary. If somebody's like, "Oh, I want to hop into compliance," so far what Sipesihle has been saying resonates with me, and I really want to jump in. Right? What is the range when it comes to the salary for an entry level in your space?
Listen, guys. Okay. one thing I will say, one thing I will say is that honestly, this is you. I was speaking to this about my colleague saying that you need to have an audacity. It's so important for you to have audacity to ask what you want, but don't be unrealistic. During my entry level, my salary was between the range of 10,000 to 12,000 rand. Right. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
this was a number of factors. Take into consideration my degree was beyond an LLB. I also had an LLM. I think also the fact that I was in Cape Town at the time, and I'm still in Cape Town, but I was in Cape Town at the time, and you look at the economics of that, and you're like, okay, 12,000 rand does make sense for an entry level graduate, right? So 10,000 to 12,000 rand would be something that you'd be looking at, but don't low ball yourself. Okay.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And also the demographics. Guys, living in Cape Town is quite expensive, as opposed to living in other parts of the country.
So
I moved to Cape Town last year and I'm always shocked at how expensive Cape Town is. So, even looking at the demographics of, where
mhm,
you are, what is
yeah.
the range in that area? I think that's also something that's important
Yeah.
to consider. And then now I want to
Yeah.
touch on additional qualifications that people can have. Now, I'm not talking master's degree. I'm just talking like
Yes.
a course. I don't know if RE1 or RE5 is applicable in your space or like
Hmm.
what courses can people do to just enhance, their ability to be employed in that space?
Mm. So it depends on which type of compliance you want to get into. So if the general overarching um, course that you'd want to do is your compliance management course, right? Because that is relevant in all spaces. So I'm not talking
Right.
about if you're anti bribery, if you want to get into the compliance of tech, if you want to get into the compliance of the finance space, it's different across the board. But the main
Mm,
qualification that you can have is the compliance management course because it's overarching everything else.
everything.
So this course, I know UCT provides a 8 week one, and it also includes a package where they do give you a year's worth of membership for KISA. UJ has VITS. I'm not sure about VITS, but I know UJ and UCT have those courses. With when it comes to the finance space, obviously you want to get your REs done. That is important when you're in the financial services space. Usually your company does assist with that if you are within that space. But those are some of the courses that you might want to complete as well. Yeah.
Mm, mm. Right, right. So now we've got, let's say a person has their LLB and now they're like, okay, cool, I'm going to register for one of these courses, right? So now let's speak about the work ethic that is required in your space. I read somewhere that the youth of South Africa slacks and we don't really have a great work ethic. So, as somebody who is in this space, what do you think is the necessary work ethic for a person to possess in order for them to basically shine and do well in that space?
As a youth of South Africa,
A
I
fellow
would
youth.
definitely, as a youth of South Africa, I would definitely say this space needs you to continuously want to learn. You need to be in
Mm,
a place where you want to continuously learn because the law is ever changing. Spaces within the legal universe are constantly changing. You need to have grit about you. You need to have the ambition. You need to be able and willing to go the extra mile. I'm not saying kill yourself now, like and not work and not have a life, right? Work
mm,
life very important, but you need to also have a willingness to want to go beyond because the truth of the matter of the fact is there's so many people who are doing compliance, but what makes you different, what makes you stand out,
mm,
what makes you want, what makes this company, let's say for example like a big company sees you and they're like, no, you know what, we want Sipesihle to work for us. What makes you different, right? So you need to have a grit about you. You need to want to learn. You need to have a willingness to listen as well because different people from different departments, different stakeholders are coming to you for advice. They're coming to you to ask you to solve a problem, and you need to have the willingness to talk to these people. So you need to learn, you need to constantly read, you just need to have that grit about you. Yeah.
mm, mm. Yeah, and I absolutely love the fact that you touch on just always being willing to learn because truly things do change. If the only thing that you have is the knowledge that you gained in university in such an ever
Mm,
progressing, field, it's going to be to your disadvantage because people are going to know stuff that you don't, you know. And when it comes to
yes,
being ever learning, it's not just about doing short courses, even just staying on top of your game in terms of industry changes, reading articles as to proposed changes, for example, what might be
yes,
changing or what is changing,
yes.
So, yeah, just staying on top of your game is, such a big one. It really
You know
is.
what?
And it, mm-hmm,
Another thing that is very important is that it's important for you to be more than just a student. Um, I think what made me able to get into an otherwise different space from my peers was the fact that I I didn't just want to have an LLB, right? I
mm-hmm,
wanted it I wanted it to be more than that. I wanted something to accompany me being an LLB graduate. I wanted something to accompany me just being a student. So it's
Yeah.
important also for you to go out into the spaces. Don't just study and thinking that your high marks will work for you. No, it's more than that. So yeah,
Mm.
I just
Yeah.
wanted to put that.
Yeah, and thank you for putting it out there, because I I sometimes see, because I do a lot of work with graduates, people who have high
Mm,
marks, and they're somewhat thinking that the high marks are the only necessity when it comes to the workplace, and that is far from the truth. High marks might help
yes,
you get in, but they won't keep you in. You need to be on top
yes,
of your game all the time, because when you do your work, your boss is not like, oh, remind me again how you're a cum laude, student, or
mm,
remind me again that you're in, the Golden Key Society. That's not what happens in the workplace, honestly.
exactly.
So yeah, marks might help you get in, but if you don't, do what is necessary in the workplace, you might just be out.
And the workplace is real, guys.
Yo. The workplace
It's
is real. The workplace is
not
real.
university, it's real.
It is. It is. So how did
Mm,
you bridge that gap, like moving from varsity into the workplace? Like, what are some of the things that you had to quickly do, to get into tip-top shape in the workplace?
I will say that I'm still learning. Um, one thing that helped me bridge the gap is definitely doing the shorter stints of working while I was in university. So in university, I didn't just study. Like
Oh,
I went
nice.
to I went to speak to the people. I did the what is it, vocational work.
Yes.
I did those because I wanted to understand. When I worked in my first job, there was this there was a time I was wearing a jean, for example. I'll just give an example. This is a stupid example, but I was wearing a jean and like a formal shirt, and my boss was like, "Oh, it's basically we don't dress like this here," and you'd easily take into offense, but that's something that you are being taught about what is that space looks like, because you just come out of varsity, you like in your early 20s, you probably like 2021, you don't know what that is, you don't know what that looks like. So I'm still continuously learning. Honestly, it's a trial and error situation. You're not just going to know. You're not different places are different workplaces are different.
Yeah.
What I experienced at my previous workplace is different from what I experience now. You just have to have the emotional intelligence, the mental willingness, because it's going to test you mentally, and just like I said, continuously be able to adapt to those spaces.
Mm, mm.
You have to be
And sorry.
you have to be a chameleon.
Yes, yes, definitely. If you're required to be green, you must be green. If you're required to be,
Yes,
another color, you must adapt quickly. And another thing about
yes,
adapting is that you can't be easily offended. When you are corrected, you are actually being helped to fit in. So if you're a person who
yes.
takes offense very easily, if they correct you and you take offense, the workplace will be a very, hostile or difficult place for you to be in.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's true. And you shouldn't get easily offended. Nothing is personal at work. You're there to do your
Hmm.
job. Just
Love
make sure
that.
you do it to the
I love
yeah.
that. Nothing is personal at work. Nothing is
Yes.
personal. Right. So you've got your LLB, you've got your LLM, and you're not admitted as an attorney. So I just want to know if not being admitted as an attorney is somewhat of a disadvantage in this space. Is it a disadvantage at
Mm.
all?
Okay, I will say that two of the roles that I'm in, the this one and my previous role, wanted someone that was admitted. Um and I was not admitted. But I was able to get the opportunities. So, like I said, my story won't be like everyone. There are opportunities. You'll There is no disadvantage to you being admitted
Admitted.
versus you not. Yes. Um I don't want to sound cliche, but it's a mental thing. It's a
Yeah.
mental thing where you just have to believe in yourself enough to want to get into that space.
Yeah.
If you live in a place of feeling like you are at a disadvantage, you will experience that in your outside world and you will be in a
Mm.
disadvantage. There are
Mm.
times where I look at, or there was times when I was job searching where I looked at roles and I was like, oh, they need someone who's admitted. But if I had not applied for the roles that I applied for now and that
Mm-hmm.
stopped me, I would have not gotten the roles, right? Most times they use that as a safeguard. But believe enough in yourself that you can enter into those spaces and
Mm.
have the audacity. I'll always say that, have the audacity. So for some time I used for some time I felt bad for not being admitted because that is the general journey, right? That's how
Mm.
you are viewed as being successful in the legal space. That
Mm-hmm.
you have to be admitted, and I felt less than for the longest time because I was
Mm.
not admitted and that opportunity was not coming to me. But other opportunities were coming to me. Was I going to look down on those opportunities and just force the CA journey? Absolutely not. So, like I say, you have to take in your stride. You have to do a whole audit of your life and see where you fit in. Ultimately, I don't feel like that could hinder me. There's so much I've gained in my experience to date. So yeah. But this is
Mm.
personal to me, guys. This is personal to me.
Yes.
My
Yes.
journey. And that's just how it looked like.
Mm. So you touched on, not being admitted and, how you basically got the roles even though you were not admitted. But in terms of working, when you are basically looking at your work and the things that you do, would you say that not being admitted when you try to do your work, do you see any points where you can say, you know what, if I were admitted, I'd probably know how to do this thing better? Or was it a thing of, okay, I'm not admitted, and if I don't know how to do anything, I'll upskill? Or, like, how was that for you?
Honestly, I was lucky enough in those roles to be held by someone who was admitted. In both
Oh,
my roles,
nice.
I've been colleagues or working with people that had been admitted. So where those gaps existed, they were there. For example, like commissioning documents, for example, that's just an example, right? They did that. But in things where I feel like, okay, if I was admitted, probably I would know, it's things that you research, you read, you
Okay.
research, you speak to people, and you'll know. I at Dutch Show, most of my job was civil procedure. The last time I looked at civil procedure was in my third year. Okay. And the last time I looked at civil procedure was to cram to pass an exam. It was not that I was doing it for my life, but at Dodge Shaw, as a legal officer, I had to oversee litigation and us giving matters over to our external attorneys, right? And I had to learn civil procedure. So that looked like me reading, that looked like me researching. Simple summons, combined summons, what does that look like? I had to do the reading and the researching and the asking of questions. And honestly, if you ask me anything in civil procedure right now, I probably can't direct you as to how the litigation process goes. I know that now because I did the research. So
Mm.
never limit yourself because you feel like, oh my gosh, candidate attorneys and admitted attorneys don't know everything. They research.
Hmm. I love that you said that, because I think somebody who probably has a limiting belief that, oh, if I don't get admitted, then I won't know stuff. Even in your time as a
Mm,
candidate attorney, you're not going to know everything. You hop into a firm and your learning, right, as a candidate
mm,
attorney depends on the matters that come through for the firm. So if people are not coming through with matters that require knowledge of civil procedure, and the knowledge that you are required to use is labor law and family law, You can't say that, oh well, because I didn't do it, so it doesn't necessarily put you at a disadvantage, because even admitted attorneys don't know everything. I love that you touched on that. Hey, can somebody needs to take this, it needs to be their take home, because that limiting belief that, oh, because I did not do this, that means I can't achieve in this type of space because I
Yeah.
don't know, I've never been in practice. Yeah, that's actually great. Hey, I love that you touched on that. Yeah. So, finally, any advice that you would give to an LLB student or somebody who is a graduate and they are just looking to see where to take this LLB degree? I always say on this channel, do your research, because if you do research, then you will have an idea as to, what other people are doing and what else there is to do with, like, an LLB degree. But like, for you as somebody who is in compliance, how would you advise somebody who probably doesn't know where to take their LLB degrees and is somewhat thinking of hopping into the compliance space?
Wow, that is such a broad question. But there's so much I would like to say to an LLB
Yeah.
student, and I'm mostly speaking to younger me. I definitely believe that first of all, it's important to not have limiting beliefs about where you can take the LLB degree. You are not less than because you didn't get admitted. Um, there is so much opportunity. The world is literally your oyster. You can do more than just be an attorney with your LLB. I would advise that you take stride, you upskill yourself, you learn what you can do, and actually find your niche and enjoy doing that. I think that right now I'm also doing like some form of a career transition. It's
Mm,
still within compliance, but it's very specific as to what compliance it is. Um, so my biggest advice is there's more than just the attorney path. There's so much that you can do. It's just you having to upskill yourself, and in you doing all these different courses and learning and speaking to different people, you will find the opportunity to continually grow and to continually find what works for you.
mm,
So
mm.
that is my advice. It's not difficult, it's not challenging. Don't limit yourself. Everything is possible with an LLB.
Mm.
Not everything, most things are possible with an LLB. You can even be a
Yeah.
policy writer, right? There's so much that you can do.
Mm.
But do your research, learn and talk to people, speak to people. Never be scared to go on LinkedIn and see someone that you would aspire to be and send them a message. They're always open to it. I'm always open to people asking me questions.
Mm.
So never be scared to do that as well. And that's how
Mm.
you learn, and that's how you see in which space you'd like to be within the
Mm.
legal space. Legal is so broad.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm. No, that is absolutely true. And that's a conversation that I'm very passionate about. Just letting people know that the legal field is so broad. Just because the only thing that you saw in your university days was law clinic and moot court, it does
Mhm.
not mean that that's all there is to do with this degree. I always say that I wish that I had somebody who was like, oh, I'm a compliance officer and I have an LLB degree. Or even our lecturers stepping forward and saying, well, I have an LLB and this is what I did to get to where I am. Like,
Mhm.
I wanted, I wish the career fairs were more diverse, is what
Diverse.
I am saying. And that's just, a conversation that I'm so passionate about. And I want to take it as far as I possibly can, because we need to know what the options are. We can't all be attorneys, we can't all be advocates, we can't all be in court. And, not all of us like court. And that's what I realized when I was in
I'm
practice.
one of those people. I'm so like I'm one of those people. I'm extremely shy, and I felt like court probably wouldn't have worked for me. So let me go into transactions. Let me go in house. Let me let me do that. Okay. Let me save
Yeah.
myself that headache and stress and anxiety.
That's true. That's true. And I'm so glad that you got to notice it before you hopped into practice, because I only noticed it when I was in practice and I was like, whoop. I don't know if I want to do this, So yeah, this has been so great, Sipesihle. Sipesihle, thank you so so much for just taking the time out to speak to everyone who is watching. Thank you so so much for just shedding light to somebody who is a little bit confused as to what they need to do with their LLB degrees. So if you're watching this and you have a comment or a question for me or Sipesihle, please drop down to the comment section and put it there and we will get back to you. Don't forget to like this video and most importantly, share this with somebody who you know could find this information useful. Don't gatekeep. And until my next video, I'm sending you tons of love and light. Bye everyone.